Hi Platform, I'm Karen M. McManus, author of One of Us is Lying, Two Can Keep a Secret, and the upcoming One of Us is Next. And I'm here to talk to you about how to write a killer thriller. So do you have to plan as you're writing a thriller, or can you just make it up as you go along? I have done both. With One of Us is Lying, I knew exactly how it was going to end right from the beginning, and that never changed. With Two Can Keep a Secret, I actually wrote several different drafts with different endings until I felt like I got it right. So it kind of depends on the book. So my top tips for creating tension are that, first of all, it doesn't always have to be related to the central mystery. It's great to have a couple little sub-mysteries going on to keep people engaged, but it's also great to have tension between people. So maybe it's romantic tension, maybe it's friend tension, maybe it's family tension, and that can also keep the pages turning. So planting clues is very tricky because you do not want people to know that they have stumbled across a clue. So one of my tricks is I try to put a clue into a scene that's important for other reasons so that it's a scene that people will remember. And then they won't necessarily know that they're supposed to be paying attention to this clue, but it'll stick in their mind later when it all starts to make sense. So with a thriller, you want to surprise people, but you also want the ending to make sense. So it really is this balance of creating enough misdirection so that there are multiple possible endings, but then ultimately building towards the one that's your true resolution and having that make sense so that people are surprised, but they also say, okay, yeah, now I see it and it all makes sense. So the biggest thing I learned over the course of writing 2 books, which I have since applied to my 3rd and my 4th, is that I have to know the characters down cold. With my 2nd book, the reason that I wrote it a couple different times was because I didn't have the characters nailed, I didn't have their backstories nailed, I didn't have their stakes and why people should care about them nailed, and as a result, the plot just didn't hold together the way it needed to. So now I spend a lot more time up front making sure that that's all in place. When I started writing thrillers, the first mistake that I made was just not thinking far enough ahead, not thinking about all the red herrings that I needed to plant, all the clues that I needed to plant. I actually had to go back and create them. So I think that outlining is more important for thrillers than maybe any other genre because it is like building a puzzle, piece by piece. And if you miss a piece early, it affects everything you do later. So the best piece of advice I ever got, which I wish I could remember who said it because I would credit them, is that your characters should be doing something different in the last chapter that you couldn't have imagined them doing in the first chapter, because then you know that you've created a true growth arc for your characters. Thanks for watching, and my latest book, One of Us is Next, is available to pre-order in the link below, and please remember to subscribe for more bookish videos. Bye!